Alright everyone, just for those who don't yet realize it, the comment sections on my videos are the greatest in all of human history. I think it's like literally the birth of a new epoch. And it's a testament to the power of free speech and free expression, really. A lot of creators at this point, they've made like lists of ban words, or they set their video so it's approval only for comments, which, you know, they've been doing that for years. I never understood it. Usually if a channel sets their comments to approval only, like, you know, the person has to approve the comment before it goes through, usually they're doing it for an ideological reason. Like, it's some hyper partisan, like it's someone who they're like 100% gung-ho liberal Democrats, and so like if you say anything that's outside of the lexicon of what they're, you know, comfy with, your comment will never get through. Or it's some religious person, like some, you know, total zealot Christian or Muslim or something, and they're never gonna okay your comment if it's critical of the material. And so why even bother making it? Some people, likewise, like ban users, like they said too many swear words or something. I always thought this was weird, and so you can sort of get a who's who of who the good guys are, I think, by looking at the comment section. If it's really dicey and edgy and full of people shitposting and shilling, in a most obvious sense sometimes, and yet nobody's getting banned, that's a good thing. It's far preferable to the alternative, which is, oh, everything's going to be squeaky clean and politically correct. It's not just politically correct, too. It's just censored in a general sense, like whatever the person happens to believe in, even if they like believe in the shitposty, edgy side, maybe they ban people who are just like, they're actually not even out there, they're like total normies, but they simply disagree with their fringe views, and so they get banned too. And so really it doesn't matter that a person is strictly just edgy, because I've seen people whose views are way out there. In fact, the weird side of YouTube is full of people who are like, they do literally wear tinfoil hats. They're into like the paranormal and stuff, and they ban left and right. I think that of all groups of people, actually, that are the most ban happy, the most censorship happy that I've seen on YouTube over the course of years of using it, I think that it might honestly be that part of the weird side of YouTube. Like literally the people who are into like the psychic stuff, the government conspiracies. It's very funny to me that people are saying, oh, well, you know, the government's trying to enslave you. In many cases appear to be, there's a strong correlation between having almost anarchist views towards organized government while having severe authoritarian views towards anyone who criticizes your online content. I guess they get to the point where they become self-righteous, and then they think that anyone who criticizes them is doing it in ill faith because they're being paid. Like everyone's a shill. It's not like, you know, 1% of the people posting bullshit here are shills. That would be probably true. Instead, it's 100% of my critics are government agents. And so it becomes a little bit, it's almost the same claim, and funnily, that people on the left, like the social justice warriors today, make, oh, anyone that's critical of our multiculturalism and you know, the diversity propaganda and stuff like that, anyone who says that's a Nazi. Well, you know, it could be someone who has an ideological disagreement that's more intellectual than just, well, I hate those minorities, but they're never going to realize that. They're not going to talk to them long enough to realize that they're just going to ban them. You have zealots on the right that really do the same thing. It used to be worse on the right. When YouTube was young, the ban-happy pro-censorship stuff was way more common among maybe people who would self-proclaim themselves to be right-wingers. It was way more common than it was on the leftist pages. I can remember that myself. I mean, I've been here since 2007. It's flipped. Since around 2012, it's the opposite. Around then is when it begins to flip, and I think it's partially because the two parties began to merge so much that all the lay people started getting a little bit pissed. But I'm very happy with it. It's like when people are like, I've talked to people. I've had people message me. They're like, oh, your comment sections are a shithole. It's basically, it's, you know, it's a worse version of 4chan, basically. Only maybe minus the pornographic content. And there's plenty of 10.2 comments there, too. It's just, it's text only. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it wonderful? I find that hilarious. You know, one thing is, content creators, I think, they do themselves as well a disservice as far as the growth of their material. Their actual physical popularity doesn't grow as well if they censor everything, because then the comment section, which a lot of people, they show up to the video mainly to read the comments, I think, and for a lot of channels. And if they're not entertaining, then they leave. But if they see a bunch of weird stuff, then they get engaged by it, and they go on, they go on an angry rant, and they're debating people, or they're trolling, and they know they can get away with trolling, so they come back to all the new material. It's great. Isn't it wonderful? I can't wait until the 2020 election. Look, during this last election, 2016, when it was really like heating up, I had like, what, 60, 70,000 subscribers for them. I think that on election day, I think it had barely crested over, I think, 82,000, if I remember. It's more than double that now. By the time of the next major election, 2020, it could be 250,000, 500,000. I can't wait to see all the whack-ass comments that I'm going to get to see at that point, because probably it'll be another freak show election. Even the midterms will be freaky. Like, because there are so many more people, there will probably be more actual engagement by a bunch of you during the midterms than even the last actual, like, presidential election, involving someone with no experience who spent most of his time insulting people. This time around, Trump will technically be on the sidelines, and it'll be fought out in the Senate and the House, and it's still going to be freaky. Or the next major election, anywhere else, like the British elections. And then there are elections in countries that I either don't care about or I don't really know how their political systems work. Some of these places, it seems like if they don't like the result, they just hold another vote the next day. And they do this habitually. And somehow it massively swings, like in the Austrian election. Green Party candidate wins by, like, what was it, half a point, and they say, well, something was invalidated, we're going to hold it again. Then he wins by a couple more points the next time. Next time it could be on on the other foot. Who knows? By the way, it was actually purposeful when I said that the foot would be on the other shoe. Sometimes it's funny to troll people. I like to do it too. It's not just you that gets to have any fun on the channel. Now, I can shitpost too. It's just sometimes I don't. It's like when people say, well, why don't you respond to more comments? You realize how hard that would be, right? On the average day, I get, what, 10,000 total comments on my material, half of which will be on whatever the last 48 hours uploads were, like the last day or two. You realize how hard it would be to interact with even a tiny proportion of that content? And so it's probably not going to happen. Very rarely, I'll go through and occasionally I'll pin something or like something. Or make a comment, pin it myself just to troll people even harder on my own material, no less. For the most part, I can't interact with even 1% of it. It's impossible to do. Like, I'd have to sit there all day. It's like, why don't I respond to more messages? I get messages on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and I get dozens of them every day. I have to check all those things. Sometimes people are asking me things that I can't even answer anyway. Like, they're asking for life advice that I'm not really qualified or comfortable with giving. And that happens on a regular basis. So yeah, it's a little bit about the comment section. I love freedom. If I'm on someone else's comment section, I expect to be able to speak freely. As an adult, as someone who's over 18, I shouldn't be held back to G-rated standards. Everything will be censored. We're going to tell you what is or is not acceptable. It's like a lot of times you see these vapid channels and they don't even have their comments open, like no ratings, like a CNN or something. Where's the fun in that? Half the fun of, if I wanted to look at like CNN stuff and not interact with it, I'd just turn on the TV. Online, the reason that I'm going to that content is probably, hey, if I'm going to share it around at all, it's probably for shitposting purposes, because it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. I can interact with it. I can interact with other people that are obviously interested in that same kind of topic because they're fucking on the video in the first place. It's the whole point. If people are on my videos, chances are they don't necessarily agree with the content, but they're interested in the basic topic. If they're not, like a lot of people, I know this, a lot of people don't watch the Vermont issues videos, and that's fine because they have no interest in the topic of news and things from Vermont. Therefore, if someone's commenting on it, I assume that it's that specific type of content on my channel is something that they're roughly interested in, at least to some extent. And or they're just shitposting, which is like half the people there. But yeah, it's far preferable to having a boring channel where it's like, oh, you're not allowed to rate, you're not allowed to embed, you're not allowed to do anything, just watch my content, peons. And there are unfortunately channels like that. That's about all. Peace out.